the system.
Welcome to the After Hours Lounge on 1620 The Zone, the 1620 The Zone app, and 1620thezone.com. When 6A to 6P isn't enough, the boys have you covered. Here's Jimmy Allen
and John Schreiner.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome inside the After Hours Lounge. We are brought to you by Bellevue University. Head over to bellevue.edu. You can register for classes, become a Bruin as early as this fall. No classes on Fridays. The majority of your classes can be done online. Check out bellevue.edu for more details tonight. Jimmy Allen, John Schreiner, Logan, and Dan producing tonight. We got a great show lined up for you. Ohio State is not worried about their seat at the table. There's a legislation being put in place to sue the conference that they're in. Possibly. We're going to tell you about it at 6:15. Speaking of college football, 100 days and counting. What are the top 5 storylines heading into the season? John, Dan, and I are going to tell you. We'll buy or sell. Our intern Logan has been tasked with asking 2 important questions tonight. We'll see how he does. Hockey Corner is back. The NHL playoffs are in full throttle right now. And then the NFL schedule has been released. What are our hottest takes away? Do we know exactly where Aaron Rodgers is going based off the schedule? We'll tell you that and a whole lot more at 7:30. Plus, we'll wrap up the night at 7:45, giving you our plain sanitation trash takes of the night. You can hold the show at 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You can also get a hold of us at After Hours 1620 on Twitter. Nebraska's kickoff time against Cincinnati has been slated. It is etched in stone. It is at 8 p.m. at Arrowhead. Do we like this? Do we hate this? Do we not care?
I think if you're playing neutral site games in the non-con, you better make them night games.
Ooh, okay.
I think, otherwise, what are you even doing? Just play it at home. Just play it at your home stadium.
Well, this would have been a game in Cincinnati. So,
sure.
With that being said, I think it's a little too late. I would have been fine with a 2:30 kickoff. I'd have been okay with that. In an NFL stadium, get enough time to get down to Arrowhead. You can leave that morning, get there on time from both places, and still be there for the game. I think that's a lot of the thought process. Wow, Cincinnati's a little bit further away than Lincoln, so let's give those folks a little bit more time to get here. But, I mean, how many of those people are making that drive and not leaving at least a day early? Spoiler alert, 90% of them.
Yeah, but here's my feeling, right? Like, these neutral site games in NFL stadiums for college football, they're supposed to be big events. It's supposed to have a big-time feel.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
It's supposed to be a special thing. And I don't know how special it feels if you kick off at noon.
I think the Ohio State fan base would agree with you.
I just feel like putting it at night makes it feel special. It makes it feel like a proper big-time college football event. Maybe they're not the 2 biggest names in the sport right now.
Sure.
But you can play the role.
I agree.
Put it at night.
I agree
under
with you.
the lights.
Because noon would have been a giant cluster. That would have been a horrible idea. And if you're going to put it on this stage, you should put it under the lights. It's just the problem I think it comes down to is it's 2 programs that necessarily aren't at the top of college football right now. I'm genuinely surprised they put it at 8 o'clock. But with that being said, I think it's going to have a big game feel to it for that reason. At Arrowhead, at night, it's year 3 of Matt Rule. There's going to be a lot of talk around that too. But you have the flip side of that. Nebraska hasn't won many of these games where it has a big game feel to it, even if they're slated, even if they're supposed to or favored.
Well, outside of beating Colorado last year,
it's about the last one I can remember.
The big time non-con games for Nebraska have gone poorly.
Yeah, I mean, not even non-con. I mean, look, the last big game in conference that I think I can remember them winning was when they knocked off Michigan State when they were undefeated. Under Mike Riley, by the way.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, there's not a lot of reason to make it a big event, but it's a college game in an NFL stadium on opening weekend.
And if you're going to do it, you better treat it as such.
Treat it like a big deal.
Also, certified smart guy Corey Kazmarek in our chat right now says it's a Thursday night game. It's on a Thursday, so they would never put it at noon.
That's a good point. I forgot this was a Thursday game. I forgot about that slate.
I hate it. 8 o'clock is too late for a football game to start. It should start at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. It's a great start time for everything.
To Corey's point, it is list season, however, though, and Circus Sports dropped their that me?
That is your computer.
There we go. No, that's not me. We'll figure it out. Anyway.
Yes,
It was both of us, I think.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Circus Sports dropped their top, their win totals for all of the Big Ten schedule, or Big Ten teams, today. And Nebraska comes in at 7.5. They have not hit over that number in 9 of the last 10 seasons.
Yep.
We've been talking a lot, mentioned year 3 for Matt Rule. This hasn't been the traditional year 3 build-up that we've seen at Temple and Baylor. We've talked about this. They usually build with freshmen in year 1, and then by year 3, they have things humming. Does that mean that this should be projected as year 2 from the pattern that we've seen? Because next year, you have Dylan Raiola, you have Ja'Cory Barney, you have Willis McGahee, you have Vincent Shavers, you have all of those young freshmen from a year ago that'll be heading into year 3, and that should be from an expectation standpoint. And put a little bit of cash on this win total of 7.5. That number feels about right on the spot if we're looking at year 2 under Matt Rule.
Yeah, I mean, they're not. Sometimes we accuse Vegas of trying to push people in a certain direction when they set a line. Like, oh, we need people to bet this way or that way. That doesn't look like the case here with Nebraska. The 7.5 line, because, like, honestly, 7 or 8 wins feels like the sweet spot for Nebraska this season.
It feels like the perfect number, if we're being honest.
Again, not surprising that they're in that sort of middle group. Other teams that are also at 7.5: Washington, Illinois, Iowa, USC. It's the most common number beside everyone's name, 7.5.
Which I'm really surprised to see Illinois at that 7.5 mark, because there's a lot of people that feel really good about where that team is under Brett Bielema heading into this season. And the way they played in big game situations last year, it's kind of hard to argue that.
Well, it's just the way he coaches that team.
Sure.
Right? They're tough to play against. It was the way he coached Wisconsin when he was there. They're hard to play against. You're just not going to get an easy win out of Illinois. And I think there's still a little bit of...
Well, they have a very manageable schedule, too. Their schedule is Western Illinois, at Duke, Western Michigan, at Indiana, USC, at Purdue, Ohio State, at Washington, Rutgers, Maryland, at Wisconsin, Northwestern. They're probably going to win those last 5.
Wisconsin, Maryland, Northwestern are all 3 of the bottom 4 teams in the league as far as win projections.
And they're probably going to beat Rutgers and Washington and probably be pretty hot heading in to that Northwestern game and going to roll them. It does suck Nebraska doesn't get Illinois this year.
Already putting Western Illinois down. 100 days to college football, and you're already like, Western Illinois.
Take that, Leathernecks.
Easy game.
Good pull.
Yeah,
Leathernecks.
Yeah, they are going to absolutely cry. -40. Give me the Illini.
Were you surprised that there are 3 teams in the Big Ten projected with double-digit wins?
No, because I mean, based on what we know about those 3 teams, whether it be Ohio State, Oregon, or Penn State, that you probably slate them in for 10 every single year with the coaches that they have with Dan Lanning, James Franklin, and Ryan Day. Now, the interesting thing is they think Indiana is an 8.5 win team this year again, which means they don't think, even with Curtis Work and the massive number of JMU guys leaving Indiana, that they don't think that Kurt Cignetti is going to take that significant of a step back, because they get to 9. That's still pretty close to flirting with what they did a year ago.
They got the same number as Michigan at 8.5,
which means they got to feel like Michigan's going to be a step ahead from where they were a year ago. And with the way they recruited and what they've done through the transfer portal, it's kind of hard to argue that. Now,
Michigan was a top 5 preseason team last year.
Well, they were coming off winning a national championship and losing one of the best coaches in college football too. But the interesting thing is, according to this number, that like if you get at least a push with Penn State and you hit either over or right on the number with Ohio State and Oregon, you probably have 3 teams, if not 4, back in the college football playoff from the Big Ten again.
Yeah, I think if Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State all win 10 games, they're all 3 getting in.
I agree.
I would imagine. I wouldn't see any of them on the outside looking in. Like, I think that like the standard number for the Big Ten and the SEC is 3. Like,
who was the team that you looked at on this list and said for sure over, for sure under?
For sure over. I don't know that I have a for sure over. I have a weird feeling that USC is an over.
That was my for sure over. That's who I said. I the way that schedule works out, I think we're going to get into this later in our top 5 storylines heading into college football. I think Lincoln Riley is coaching somewhere else next year, and it's because he overachieved at USC this year, not because he got forced out. I don't think he's there either way next season, but I think they win at least 10 games this season.
And if you're forcing me to take an under, like, it's Michigan. It's Michigan.
Purdue.
Like, you can't go under 3. Like, that's you can't go on. But like, Wisconsin's 5.5 is tempting because that's a 5-win team in my book.
I also think Minnesota goes over 6.5 as well. My under though, I'm being serious. I would not be surprised if Purdue only wins 2 games this year, but I just don't think Washington is going to be there yet. At 7.5, 7 feels like they're another one that number feels right on the money for where they're going to be this season. I think it could probably be closer to 6 or 5.
But you don't believe in Jedd Fisch?
I do. I just think it's going to take a while to turn that around from everything that left Seattle when Kalen DeBoer left.
Yeah. My over, I think, is USC, and my under is Michigan.
Dan, who do you got for the over?
Well,
you're over there hemming and hawing.
I am over here hemming and hawing because for me, UCLA at 5.5 is my over.
Okay.
I think it's a low win total.
They're in LA. People forget.
God, I did not know that. Thanks to Sean. But yeah, I think they're my over just with the addition of Nico
Iamaleava.
Yeah,
right?
that's
like
Iamaleava.
Yeah, there you go. Whatever. That guy.
Thanks, John.
I thought that the opening game was on a Saturday, so don't trust anything that I say tonight.
Yeah. I just think that they go over because of Nico, and I think hopefully Deshaun Foster has his legs underneath him this season, just like in general, because it would be kind of embarrassing if he doesn't, especially with the amount of money that they're going to pay Nico. And then
allegedly,
it's going to sound a little bit corny, but Iowa is kind of my over right now. They're 7.5. It just seems like it's always a safe bet.
Did he just say it's going to sound a little bit corny, but Iowa is my over? I see what you did there. Okay.
Yeah. Iowa is just one of those teams that you're like, you can just basically toss a coin and say, it's going to be 8.
I'll ask you.
8's always a safe number.
I'll ask you this then, Dan. Is this Kirk Ferentz' last year?
Yes, I do think it is. I think Kirk Ferentz is just going to retire just gracefully into the sunset. I think he's going to give it one more chance to go to the college football playoff. And if he doesn't make it this year, he's just going to say, it's time to turn it over to someone else.
Is the Ohio State narrative going to be to sue a big brand? We're going to tell you if that's the answer on the other side of the break. If you missed this segment, check it out. SoundCloud.com/After-Hours1620 is brought to you by Allo Fiber. Allo goes beyond internet, bringing fast, reliable speeds with an all-fiber network right up to your house. They also go beyond customer service expectations as well, with local 24/7 local teammates right here in Nebraska that are going to be able to help you get your internet and cable set up with your all-fiber network today. Head over to allofiber.com. Set up your new connection tonight. We'll be right back. Ohio State's legislation. What is it about? We'll talk about it. 1620 Zone.
Just to waste my time with you.
Hey everybody, John Schreiner here for Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. Golf polos, you need them? Jerry Ryan's got them. They got them in Roan. You never heard of Roan? Maybe you have, but if you haven't, you need to get in there and just lay your hands on the Roan golf polos that they got in stock this year. They have great little patterns. They're subtle, right? From a distance, you don't even realize what it is. You get up close, and it's a little golf ball or it's a golf club. The patterns are so cool, and they feel great. The shirts are amazing. You're going to love them. I promise you, if you go in and check out the Roan golf polos, you will want one. 78th and Dodge is the place, right in the middle of Omaha, easy to find, and they will treat you right. Tell them After Hours sent you. Get your golf gear game right this spring. Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear, dressing Omaha for over 50 years.
Guys, that was a really rough segment.
You can get a great craft beer pretty much anywhere these days. But what about the whole package, dining out, service, and atmosphere? Come to Cunningham's Pub and Grill, home of Omaha's original smoked wings, now with 2 locations. We're bringing back Sundays at our Old Mill location this fall, where you can catch all the sports while enjoying quality food and drinks. Find your flavor and follow us online for unique daily specials and fun craft beer events. Cunningham's Pub and Grill in Old Mill and now Blackstone.
The temperatures are rising outside. Don't let them rise inside. Controlled Comfort is your go-to for all things residential and commercial HVAC. Schedule an appointment today to get your AC checked out before summer gets here. Don't forget to make sure that your filter gets changed too. Head over to ControlledComfort.com and get the details on their annual maintenance plans today.
For all your home and business needs, Control Comfort is here to please. Control Comfort keeps it under control. Yeah.
Life is unpredictable, with seasonal storms and plumbing issues hiding around every corner. You can't predict the future. So when life happens, go with a trusted, reputable company like Paul Davis Restoration. Fire, water, mold, or storm damage can all be restored by Paul Davis Restoration. Don't live in the aftermath of tragedy. Restore your home today. Call Paul Davis Restoration at 402-553-0373 today.
.619 on a Thursday night edition of the After Hours Lounge, brought to you by Bellevue University. Keep up to date on all the championship action happening on Bellevue's campus by downloading the BU Bruins app to your smartphone tonight. Ohio lawmakers want to impose a $10 million fine on Big Fox or the Big Ten for every time Ohio State has to play at noon, except the Michigan game, which they want to keep at noon. The Buckeyes played 7 12 o'clock games last year, including that Michigan game that we just referenced. But this is weird for a couple of reasons. Ohio State understands where they are at the pecking order. You get the type of money in the Big Ten because of Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State and their ability to draw eyes to the product. Now, Nebraska's probably in that second tier in that discussion, not to ruffle any feathers around here. But this is weird for another reason. It hasn't even been a decade since the Big Ten changed their rules about playing games after 2:30 after November, or excuse me, after October and into November. That happened in 2017. So you're only 8 years into that process, and people are clamoring to play games under the lights throughout the Big Ten now. And I get the sentiment where Ohio State fans are coming from, but this is what happens when you take the money. You're kind of at the discretion of the people making the time slots. And I think it's very weird that the Big Ten values that big noon kickoff spot the way they do. Because the way it's been in college football for a very long time, game day shows up, it's an evening kick, that's the primetime game, that's where all the eyes are.
But Fox is not going to do that because they're not going to directly compete with ESPN. They're trying to get the same audience, but get them earlier in the day.
I'm interested to see if that's working, by the way. Like what those numbers look like comparatively.
The numbers for Big Noon last year were good.
I mean, comparatively to whatever the primetime game is. Because, I mean, you're getting some of those primetime matchups. The interesting thing is the Big Noon, some of the Big Noon kickoffs this year were against Michigan, obviously against Penn State, and against Indiana. The game against Oregon, however, was at 7:30. So it's not like they're not understanding that, hey, if we have two top three matchups.
Again, you're playing a West Coast team.
I know, I get that. But there's a sentiment there though, right? Like, and it was in Eugene, so that probably had a little bit to do with it as well. But I wonder if that game is in Columbus, if it's a Big Noon kickoff slot, or if they just felt like they needed to put it at 7:30 because it was a West Coast hosted game.
This is what I don't understand. Like, why are you complaining about kickoff times? Like honestly, like I don't understand. You get to play on television.
Alcohol.
You get to play on television, and the media company that's putting your game on television
and paying you a lot of money for it.
Paying you an astronomical sum of money to do so.
Not gonna lie, I was a little worried where he was going there for a second.
Honestly, like I just never understood the time. Like if ESPN picks you for their primetime game, cool. That's great. Mm-hmm. Good for you, man. Cool.
So I think it's important to point out, though, real quick. Sorry, Dan. These are Ohio lawmakers, not the university, allegedly yet.
Yeah. So
that is appropriate. Yeah.
I mean, does the Ohio legislature not have anything better to worry about? That's the other question I have. But that's a side point that we don't need to get into.
I think you're asking the wrong question. Because if you are the Ohio legislator and you have rooting interest in Ohio State, I don't know if you know this, played 7 games in Big Noon kickoff time slots last year, and you won a national title. So shouldn't you just want to replicate the sauce and get back to the playoff and win those games?
I can't understand. Like, what's the difference if you play at noon or 2:30?
How much alcohol you can consume. That's the difference.
But, like, so what?
It would be more at noon, wouldn't it?
No, you have all day to drink. You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning, Dan.
Yeah, but they don't give a rip about drinking alcohol in the afternoon. It's drinking alcohol in the stadium. No. That's what matters to the Ohio State lawmakers.
People care about people care about tailgating, Dan. This is somebody high up in Ohio legislation that is like, listen, I pay a lot of money for my suite seats, and I want to be able to enjoy my tailgating spot that I probably pay somewhere near 5 figures for every single season. I can't do that if I'm back at the tailgate by 2:30.
Well, then, dear Ohio State lawmaker, you know that you can just tailgate all day in the same spot, right? No one comes around
you guys
and says,
a lot,
"Oh, you're gonna leave."
No.
Also, being on Big Noon kickoff is actually a good thing for Ohio State. That's the thing that kind of boggles my mind about all of this. You're complaining about having everyone's eyes on you. You're the national champion, and you want to keep the Michigan game as a noon game. That is the dumbest thing that I've ever heard. If anything, move the Michigan game underneath the lights so that you both have to play in cold weather and you both have to suffer the consequences.
Michigan, Ohio State better always be played during the day. Always.
Never.
This just seems like it seems so silly to me. Like the kickoff time. Like, why are we up in arms about this? And I just looked it up. Mm-hmm. Ohio Stadium sold $6.2 million worth of alcohol last year.
That's a lot.
The most they've ever sold.
Wow.
Yeah,
you know what? So that's probably because people are forced to drink the alcohol in the stadium, which could be where this complaint is coming from. Hey, listen, I bought all this alcohol for my tailgate, and I can't even drink it because I got to be in the stadium by probably 11:05.
Oh, bummer. Oh, bummer. We're paying more money inside of the thing that we love the most.
So I got a question for both of you because I'm getting the theory here that both of you prefer morning game. Are you guys noon kickoff guys?
I don't have a preference. I
if
just
you're
wanna
going
wa-
to the game,
I want
if
the
you're
game.
going to the game. If I'm going to the game and you got to go through the rigmarole of driving down there, especially if you're tailgating, all the stuff you got to load up and bring with you, doing that by noon, that's a lot. And I think that's where this complaint is coming from.
I don't know, man. I think it's all pretty silly to me. And to say that we're gonna fine Fox $10 million. How do you propose that you're gonna get them to pay that?
I'm going to say something
this is-
moderately offensive here for a second.
Please do.
Sounds like there are a lot of pansies on the Ohio State campus who haven't slept in their cars recently.
Well, here's my thing. Here's my question, though.
Wimps.
Here's my question. Ohio State is a public university, right? It's a
Sure
state
is.
school.
Yep.
And if this comes from state legislation, does this also mean that Akron and Ohio University, which are also both state schools, would fall into the same legislation? Or is this just reference to the Ohio State University?
There's so
Because it kind of feels from a legislation standpoint, you can't really do one without the other three, right?
well, luckily we have a legal sponsor of the show who
Yeah,
could
he's
answer these questions.
busy tonight.
He's a little busy.
Bob.
It just seems like there's absolutely zero way to enforce this because you have
You know why we need football to get here quicker than 100 days? Because this is the stuff that happens in the offseason.
like honestly, can you imagine the state of Nebraska saying, "Okay, Casey's, you don't want to stay open until 1 a.m. $10 million fine." Like what the?
Could I see
What
that?
are we talking about?
Yes.
This is so stupid. It drives me insane that we have state legislatures talking about fining a media company for what time they scheduled the state school to play football. Like, get over yourself.
Also, hypothetically, I kind of want this to go through
I do too.
just simply because the state of Ohio versus like Fox Corp would be hilarious.
I want this to
or
go,
against News Corp, excuse me.
I want this to go through, and I want Ohio State to win or lose 2 games again this season, but miss the college football playoff, and say, "Look how good you had it, Ohio. This is your fault." You know who stays open past 10 o'clock though? Cunningham's Grill or Pub and Grill. Excuse me. And if you've missed this segment, check it out at SoundCloud.com/AfterHours1620. It was brought to you by our friends at Cunningham's. 2 great locations. If you haven't had a chance to stop down to the Blackstone District, you're missing out. Brand new parking garage right in front of Cunningham's, just a 5-minute walk from your car to Derek's front door. You got to get down and try the fried chicken. The gravy that they put on top of it with the chorizo in it, the spicy little kick on top of the gravy is so good. You're not going to regret it. Stop by Cunningham's and grab dinner and drinks tonight. 100 days until college football. What are our top 5 storylines heading into the season? Dan Campenden tells you next.
Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here for Bob at Williams Law. You just heard me mention that we do have a fine legal sponsor of the After Hours Lounge. His name is Bob. He works at Williams Law. You can find him at williamslawllc.com. He answers those tough legal questions like, can a state legislature sue a media company for scheduling a 12 p.m. football game?
No!
If you don't have questions that are quite that big, but you do have some legal issues that you're dealing with, causing you some stress, keeping you up at night, no need for all that. You can get a free, no-obligation legal consultation where you get to sit down with Bob before you ever have to pay him a dime or step foot in the courtroom. He'll go over your rights, explain the process, and get you set up for success for your big day in court. It's Bob at Williams Law. Check him out at williamslawllc.com.
I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man.
6:34 on a Thursday night here on 1620 The Zone, where we're firmly on the struggle bus. We are brought to you by Bellevue University. Head over to bellevue.edu, register for classes. You can become a Bruin as early as this fall. Start counting down, boys. 100 more days to go until college football kicks off. We're going to give you our top 5 biggest storylines heading into the college football season. And I'm going to go ahead and start us off with my number 5.
Real quick, Jimmy. Logan did the assignment too.
Attaboy. New intern Logan is in studio with us tonight, learning from Dan Campion, the Wizard of NRG Media. I need you to start wearing like a hat and wizard sleeves in here. But I'm and kind of on the topic we were just talking about. My number 5, and I think this obviously isn't a question that we're not going to have answered till the end of the regular season. Does Ohio State lose 5 in a row to Michigan? Don't let the national championship blind you, folks. Michigan has won 5 straight over the Buckeyes, and I think people forget there was a lot of discussion if Ohio State was going to fire Ryan Day after the Michigan game this year. Probably a good idea. They did not do so. I don't know if you know this. Ohio State went on to win the national championship. We need to repeat that one more time. But what does it look like if they lose another one to the Wolverines? And what happens if it catapults Michigan into the college football playoff over Ohio State?
Yeah, that would be something.
How much does the cachet from this season
matter? It won't
happen
happen because Michigan's not making the playoff this year.
I agree, but stranger things have happened.
If Michigan makes the playoff, I'm going to make both you eat your words about Sharon Moore.
That's true.
That'll be my first thing when I come in the day after that, show. Actually, hopefully we can do it live on air when they announce the college football playoff in the middle of our show as per usual.
I kind of want this to happen. Logan, we'll go to you for your number 5.
All right.
This better not suck.
Well,
it would be par for the course of the way this show is going, but
for me, I've got the part 2 of the battle between DJ Lagway and Dylan Raiola comparing their career trajectories. It's a big thing for me to think about. Obviously, I go to UNL. I'm the same major as Dylan Raiola, so obviously I'm going to want him to do the best possible. But DJ Lagway, he's expected to do great things this year.
Florida's win total, by the way, 8.5. So,
it's something to follow.
Our friends
along.
at Circa Sportsbook think you got something there.
I personally think Raiola is going to have a better season this year than DJ Lagway, just because I like what Nebraska's offense has done with Dana Holgorsen, and I liked what I saw last year at the end of the year. And I'm not a huge fan of DJ Lagway, but the fact that both those two are battling out for QB1 in their recruiting class, I think it'd be fun to follow along with.
I don't think that's a national pundit storyline.
No, it's a personal one, but I still think
but I think it could be by the end of the season for sure.
Yeah, the comparisons are going to be there. Yeah. Nicely done.
C+.
We'll take it.
Right.
I'm fine with it.
My number 5 is, do 4-game holdouts become a trend? We saw it last year with Matthew Sluka and UNLV, where he played 4 games and then decided he was done.
Because the check didn't clear.
I want to see if that happens again and to what scale it happens this year. I think last year was sort of it might have been like a canary in the coal mine situation where he's like setting something up that other people could do. And I just want to watch and see this year how many times this happens. This is going to be something I'm keeping an eye on.
So you do think it's going to be a trend then?
I don't know if it's going to be a trend, but it's certainly something that I think we're going to be paying attention to.
I think it's going in the opposite direction of what you're kind of going with. Yeah, because Saluka didn't get paid by UNLV, and I don't even know where he transferred to after the end of this year. And then Nico Yamaleva tried to do the same exact thing, leverage for more money. Granted, that was during the spring portal, so he has a lot more leverage going into that. And Tennessee still didn't pay him, and he went to UCLA, as we all know. So I like what you're thinking there, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Saluka's a Duke, James Madison right now.
Yep.
Fun.
Not coached by Kurt Cignetti, people forget.
Not at all.
Yes, they do.
Dan, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is FSU and Mike Norvell. Can he recover from the disaster that was last season? We talked about this, I think it was last week, Jimmy, when we did our 5 and 5, who's on the hot seat. And I put Mike Norvell on the extremely warm seat because obviously with the way that their season went last year, it was a unmitigated disaster. When the bleeding started, it just did not stop. I have a lot of faith in Mike Norvell as a head coach of that FSU program. He's a good recruiter. He's a good transfer portal guy. He's always seemed to be able to right the ship when things go wrong, but I worry that the ship is going too near the Bermuda Triangle at this point.
Close enough to it. Not on my list, but the one thing, like, what's next for Jaden Rashada? Because now he's transferred a couple, just something that when you brought up DJ Lagway that made me think, like, obviously his ties to Florida, like, I think a lot of people kind of are starting to wonder if there was any smoke to that fire in Florida and down in the swamp, and what does it look like now? So that's something I want to keep an eye on. My number 4 is who wins the "We're Still Eligible" sweepstake. The grandfathered in contracts that for current players that got cut off rosters before or left rosters before they were allowed to be grandfathered into their school and to play college football. Kind of feels like somebody's going to start stockpiling these players eventually. And who's it going to be, and who's it going to benefit? Because I guarantee you, there's probably an injury somewhere in a playoff race later down the end of the season where a guy like that can come in and make a difference. And if somebody scoops one of those players up, that was kind of a fringe guy that you can develop. I think it's going to matter.
Yeah, that will be something that's very interesting to watch. Is those cut players who end up being grandfathered into rosters? Yeah,
Logan.
I mean, the first place that I think of, ironically enough, is Florida State. I feel like Mark Norvell is one of those guys. He's going to find somebody,
build relationships. Yeah,
exactly. Build a relationship. And if they need to be thrown into the fire, they have that experience. If they do, I don't know how well they're going to be next year, but if they
probably better than 1-11.
I would hope so.
What's number 4?
My number 4 is talking about kind of what you mentioned before earlier along the lines, but the gap between Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, and the rest of the Big Ten. Because those are obviously the big 3, but I don't know how many wins are going to separate the rest of those teams, kind of like what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the question almost every year in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Well, you had Indiana who jumped into that tier last year, but I think the question is, do they stay there? Or are they actually, is it a 4-team race or was it just a flash in the pan?
Exactly.
So, and maybe there is another team that jumps up out of the middle of the pack.
I do feel like
and joins the top.
It's going to be biased when I say this, but I do feel like Nebraska could be that Indiana type team that flash in the pan, figure it out.
I do too. I just think they're a year away. I think that's a discussion for next year.
Yeah.
What's your number 4?
We head down to the Bayou for my number 4, and
The Bayou.
It's the head coaching job that everybody likes to talk about for some reason. And how much rope does Brian Kelly have? Like, what happens if it doesn't go well early in the season? What happens if they lose, a big game early on in the year? How much clamor is there for LSU to move on?
Because his family,
we had some of that start, like the rumblings began last year, right? So, how much rope does Brian Kelly have at LSU?
Dan, number 4.
Number 4 for me, a young man. Archibald Manning, he now has the reins. How is he going to lead the cattle drive that is the Texas Longhorns? Already,
God, I hope he fails.
With
don't
even say
I hope
that.
this just goes horrible.
He
I don't think it's going to, though.
Already a number 2 in Heisman favorites this year, just behind Cade Klubnik, who probably should be in the NFL at this point.
Who probably shouldn't be the favorite for Heisman Trophy.
No, he shouldn't, but that's a discussion for another day and one that we'll have many a time over the summer. But Arch Manning, he is getting extremely hyped right now. I feel like I can't go a day or two without seeing some sort of interview or media hit or NIL thing that he is involved in somehow.
Yeah.
He's getting pushed in my face, and I, unlike Jimmy, actually hope that this goes very well.
I think he's super talented.
And that he is.
I just don't want it to work out for Texas.
The 4th Manning that we get to see in the NFL. Because I think one and done probably. If he has a great season this year, he's out.
My number 3 is Lincoln Riley watch. And I alluded to this earlier in the show. But it seems like Lincoln Riley and the USC marriage is halfway through marriage counseling, and it's not going well. So who gets the dog and who gets the house? We're going to find out. They open with Missouri State, Georgia Southern, at Purdue, Michigan State, at Illinois, and then Michigan comes to town, then at Notre Dame and at Nebraska. That's a pretty tough back end to that schedule. they end up beating Illinois. If they get up to a 5-0 stretch and they win that game, Lincoln Riley's phone is going to be ringing. And it's not going to be the athletic director of USC calling. It's probably going to be somebody from the SEC. I'm calling it right now. Lincoln Riley leaves USC for an SEC job next season.
Whoa, which one?
I don't know. We'll find out. Could be Auburn. Hugh Freeze ends up messing down his leg again this season, doesn't beat Alabama again. Kalen DeBoer gets things rolling. They're going to be looking to make a change. Number 3.
Lincoln Riley on the Plains. That would be interesting.
I'm here for it.
What you got, Logan?
My number 3, kind of looking ahead to the end of the season as well, but does Miami become QBU with Mario Cristobal? They've had a lot of good quarterbacks coming. You got Cam Ward, who transferred in from Washington State. You got Carson Beck. If he has a good year this year,
he's 37 years old.
Yeah,
it's a big if on that Carson Beck.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But I mean, that's a great spot for Miami to be in if you just find a way to recruit those wide receivers coming from Florida. Which I mean, there's a lot of good guys coming from that Miami.
People
area.
Like to hang out in Miami. I could see it being a recruiting hotbed.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're a quarterback, you're transferring in. Like let's say John Mateer at Oklahoma, he has a good season. Why not go to Miami?
Well, that's an interesting thing too. Is like even after this season, if it does go well for Carson Beck, does Miami continue the trend of going out and continuing to get a 4th, 5th-year guy to come in? Because clearly, I mean, they probably should have won the conference last year, and you had the number 1 overall draft pick. So if you can keep turning that out, why not?
Especially because I didn't see Cam Ward as that type of guy before going to Miami. I saw
some people
6, 7 round talent, but
some people correctly called that before the season started, but that's okay. John?
I'm going back to something we talked about a lot in the lead up to last season, the race for the Big 12. I think this is going to be another
Could it be crazier this year? Because I think it could be.
It's going to be another wild and woolly. Like, is it Iowa State? Is it Arizona State? Is Colorado going to finally jump into the conversation?
There's respect on BYU there, too. They had a great season, just faltered at the
We had them BYU, penciled in as the conference champion at week 10. Yeah. They didn't end up playing for the title.
Like, what does Dave Aranda do at Baylor?
Yeah.
Like,
and hey, Lance Leipold got things rolling at the end of the season. Right. Is Kansas back?
So the race for the Big 12.
What a sentence is Kansas back?
I think is going to be a season-long talking point, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Dan?
Yes. What will the Pavia case mean for transfers in the NIL era?
This is interesting.
Yeah, this is probably, I think, the biggest storyline that we're going to have. And I don't think we're going to get like a true effect of it this year, like in this upcoming football season. But I think next offseason, we're going to start to see a lot of those JUCO programs get mined for extra talent. And for guys that might have 1 to 2 years that they can throw in to an NCAA program.
I'm really surprised this isn't something that's been discussed previously, because especially like it's one thing if it's a D2 school or another 4-year institution, but if it's a JUCO school, I mean, it's almost on the line of a preparatory academy anyway. So I think this is great. It's anybody that doesn't know, Diego Pavia, the quarterback at Vanderbilt, basically was awarded his additional 2 years that he spent at the JUCO level, saying that he's still eligible for 2 more years. And I think this should absolutely be the rule, and I love this. And I think it also helps the JUCO ranks. Everybody wins. It helps the kids, it helps the JUCO ranks, and then you get more experienced players at the college level as well.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me, and it's the same thing that worries me about the roster limits. And for the record, I think the roster limits are a good idea.
Guys getting left out in the cold.
It's the number of high school kids that get opportunities that might be left behind. But I mean, this does present a scenario now where maybe this kid didn't get highly recruited out of high school. He's got a chance to go and play JUCO, get his name out there, put up some numbers, and then still have 4 years of eligibility to go and play major college football.
Yeah, I mean, overall, there's a lot of – I personally don't like that they allowed Pavia to get those 2 extra years, just because you're going to get so many old guys in college, which is not something I want to see.
Sure.
Because I do like seeing those high school guys come up and make an impact, but that's just me there.
My number 2, or Dan, that was yours. Dan, my number 2 is, what does Deion Sanders in Colorado look like without Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders? Now, can Julian Lewis win the starting quarterback job in Colorado? Can Colorado take a step forward and go on a run and maybe make the playoffs, win the Big 12 championship that you just talked about? More importantly, what does it look like for Prime if they regress this season?
Yeah, That's the big question.
I don't think there's any way he gets fired ever in Colorado, just because he's taken them from the doormat of the Power 5 to a national needle mover, and that in its own right is going to have value to it. They were on the doorstep. They were a team we're talking about in those last 2 weeks that could have made a push to win the Big 12 championship. Now, I think if you lose a number 2 overall draft pick and a Heisman Trophy winner, everybody should just assume you're probably going to take a step back. How does that reflect the national narrative for Colorado? I think that's going to be a discussion a lot this year.
Yeah, and look, the national media is going to pay so much attention to Colorado, so we're going to hear about it all year.
Is he the biggest star in college football right now? Deion? It's kind of hard to argue he's not,
it's
right?
Not that there's not many players that you can make that case for,
which is crazy because, to your point, there's a bunch of old guys that have been around for a long time, which should give you the indication that there is. But I don't know who else it would be.
With Nick Saban out of the game, I mean,
maybe Arch Manning because of his last name, maybe, but I don't even think it's close.
Maybe Dan Lanning needs to be put in that conversation as well, just because the way that he's carried Oregon the past few years on social media, at least.
He just doesn't move the needle like Deion.
That's the thing.
And I think a lot of that is because he's on the West Coast too.
Yeah,
and probably doesn't get the recognition he deserves.
So I think this is hilarious that we're talking about this right now because this was brought up this morning on Gary and Matt as well. Not the Deion of it all.
Oh, okay.
But the fact that we're like brightest star in all of college football, and we're going with basically strictly coaches' names.
Yeah,
and
that's a college sports thing
because they're the standard. They're the thing that doesn't change.
Yeah, but do you remember when you used to get the Phil Steele magazine, and you would look at the front cover and you would go, "I know exactly who that guy is. I know who all like 2 or 3 of these guys are who are on the cover of Phil Steele this year."
You know who it's going to be this year?
Arch Manning.
No, it's probably Cade Klubnik.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Where are we at? Number 2.
For me, I've got actually kind of building off of what John said a little bit. I could see a lot of Big 12 teams potentially in the playoffs this year, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm a big BYU guy this year. They didn't lose a lot of talent. Utah could potentially be on the up and up. We got to see how their roster actually shapes out this year. But there's a lot to like.
They don't have Cam Rising.
Actually, they don't. I mean, Arizona State had a heck of a year last year, but are they going to be able to sustain all of it? So
I like Sam Leavitt a lot.
I like Sam Leavitt a lot too. But losing Cam Skattebo, that's the problem. But I love how the Big 12 looks this year competitively. There's not many teams.
I think it's going to be the most fun league again.
Oh, for sure.
Just because anybody could win it.
Yep. Number 2 for me. This is where I stuck the Arch Manning story, and it's more for me about can he live up to the hype, right? Because it's through the roof. The attention, the expectation, it couldn't be any bigger.
Can we agree though? The only way he lives up to the hype is if he both wins the national championship and the Heisman Trophy, right?
I don't think he has to do both.
I think he has to do both.
I think he just needs to win the Heisman. I don't even think he has to win because
I would go the other way if we're debating one of those two.
Well, I mean, when you have that Manning legacy, Eli never won one.
But hold on.
Peyton never won one.
Eli was at Ole Miss.
Yes, that's true. That's Eli's fault there.
But Arch is Arch is at
your tongue.
Arch is at Texas, and people in Texas will tell you they'll take a national championship over a Heisman any day.
Yes, but
ask Vince Young.
Personally,
ask Vince Young.
I think
to live up to the personal hype. I think if he wins the Heisman, he lives up to the prodigal son moniker. So I think that's it. And look, this is a guy. He started 2 games last year.
Yeah.
By the way,
just while Quinn Ewers was injured, it looked pretty good doing it. But like, how does it look over a full season? That's going to be a huge thing that certainly the media is going to be paying attention to, and I think we will as well.
Dan, number 2.
So this is actually where similarly to you, Jimmy, is where I slotted we lose Shedeur, we lose Travis Hunter. What does that mean for Deion? What does it look like for him? Honestly, like the fact that he's got, his starting quarterback in waiting and had him there all last year to kind of understudy Shedeur, even though that's not really a great person to be understudying if you really want to know how to make quality plays and throws at the quarterback position.
What if he wants to be a rapper?
Coverages. But I do think that with his son and with his basically star pupil / recruit gone, I think Deion's going to be just fine.
I do too.
In general, I think he is not the reason for the success at Colorado explicitly. I think he knows how to put the right people around him who understand what success is supposed to look like at the college level.
Fair.
And I mean, Deion is a great motivator. That is the one thing that I think you can give to him, is that he is a great motivator and a great, not culture guy, but he knows how to use everyone on his team's personalities for him, which so far has worked out, even though 13-12 in his first, 2 years there is
overachieving,
middling.
Did everybody do their number 2?
Yep.
Okay, we'll go to our number 1. Mine went a little bit off script. Listen, I don't think Bill Belichick coaches a single game at North Carolina. I don't think he makes it to the season, so I'm leaving that off my list. I'm interested to see what happens in Athens. If Kalen DeBoer can turn things around and they get Alabama rolling, and Texas and Arch Manning do what we just talked about, and you find a way for LSU and Brian Kelly to get things rolling, and Tennessee doesn't take a step back, and somehow Georgia were to fall out of that top 4 in the SEC, what does that mean for
there
Kirby
aren't
Smart?
infinity seats at that table?
Listen, it's got to be somebody of those 5, right? I don't think there's 5 SEC. I wouldn't put it past the College Football Playoff Committee to put 5 SEC teams in. I just don't see a world in which that happens. And if that 5th team is Georgia this season, what does that mean? And especially if Alabama gets things back up and rolling in year 2 under Kalen DeBoer, what does that mean for Kirby Smart and the guys down in Athens? That's what I'm the most intrigued
That's a
at.
big if, though.
I agree. I agree.
If.
And I understand that. And listen, there's a chance that they win the SEC again. This is a moot point. But what if it's not? And listen, you can slate Georgia into any one of those other 5 spots there. What happens to the one SEC team that's in the upper top 5 that doesn't make the college football playoff? And what does it mean for their head coach?
Well, it was the team that was in that upper echelon that didn't make it last year. You didn't even mention.
Well, it was Alabama. But
Ole Miss.
Yeah, well, listen, South Carolina was in that discussion too. They were a team that a lot of people had in, but obviously not at the beginning of the season.
Sure. So, there's plenty of storylines to go around in the SEC.
It means more there. I don't know if you know that.
Well, I've heard tell of it. What you got, Logan?
Logan, number 2.
Number 1.
Number 1, sorry.
Yeah, my biggest one here is I'm going to be curious to see how good the ACC actually is this year. You've got Clemson, you've got Miami, but that is a steep fall off. I'm not too high on Louisville this year. They lost Tyler Shuck. I'm not high on Syracuse. I think Fran Brown's a great coach, but I have no clue.
I love Jeff Brom.
I'm
never going to be down on Louisville for that reason.
I mean, there's so many question marks surrounding the entirety of the ACC. And there's only 2 strong contenders that I do feel like will be in that ACC championship game at the end of the year. But I don't know if both those 2 teams are going to find their way in the college football playoffs.
Did Tulane duplicate, or not Tulane, SMU duplicate what they did a year ago as well? John,
fun.
Number 1?
My number 1 storyline, and maybe it's just me, but I think it's the race for the Group of 5 playoff spot.
Sure.
It's always fun. Everyone loves to talk about which one of the minnows is going to swim with the big fish. It was Boise State last year. Do they have it to get back-to-back without Ashton Junty?
And what does it mean for Spencer Danielson if they do? That's definitely going to lead to another head coaching job.
Navy was close. They had a great season last year. Tulane is a team that seems to be on the rise. UNLV with a new head coach. What do they look like? I think it's going to be another fascinating ride.
Dan's Wyoming Cowboys. Can they eventually win more than 3?
I was going to give them a shout out. Let's go. More than 3 games this year, boys.
I think that the Group of 5 representative in the playoffs.
You got to pick?
So I don't think it's going to be Boise. I think it's going to be someone surprising. Like
not even one of the teams you named?
No.
I think it's going to be Tulane.
Maybe a James Madison
who
runs
the
the table.
UNLV next year. I think UNLV has a great chance, especially with Boise State. Obviously we don't know how
losing
well
Ashton Junty.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan, number 1.
My number 1, and I literally wrote down for it. Do you think Bill Belichick goes to frat parties?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Because
as a +1.
I'm kind of the mindset that he doesn't. I mean, I feel like he takes football seriously, but
does he take football seriously now?
How in the world is he taking this North Carolina job seriously?
To get his son a job?
He has coached at the highest possible level, and he has been to the mountaintop 6 separate times. I don't foresee his reign at North Carolina going past this season.
I don't think he coaches
whatsoever.
I
know how you feel about it, Jimmy, because we had
just-
a conversation about this last week
I just think they look at his life situation and go, listen, we see you just cashing the paycheck here. Let's just hire your kid and move on. Hey, if you missed our top 5 storylines heading into the college football season, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by Controlled Comfort Heating and Air. Are you looking for a new job? Controlled Comfort is hiring. Whether you are a new HVAC employee or you've got a ton of experience in the industry, Controlled Comfort is the top of that industry. You might as well work for the best. Head over to controlledcomfort.com. Work for Tony, Steven, and the crew, and join Controlled Comfort's team tonight. We'll be right back, finding out what's trending on social media right here on 1620 The Zone.
Your brain gets smart, but your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see, so what's wrong with thinking?
Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Pepper Jack's Grill. I stopped by Pepper Jack's today and grabbed lunch. And you know what I wasn't? I wasn't disappointed. Listen, I got a steak rice bowl with shrimp added to it. That's right. I made it a gunner, but double meat with 2 different options. You can do that tonight as well. You can combine the shrimp with the sausage. You can combine chicken with the steak. It's all an option at Pepper Jack's. And the great thing is, when you're there, they're going to make it right in front of you. You're going to see exactly what's going in your food, who's making it, and how delicious it looks while it's sizzling on the grill. Stop by Pepper Jack's Grill. 10 great locations. Stop by and grab dinner tonight.
can't play Bad Religion and not expect me to just get a little bit rowdy.
Can we please remove Bad Religion from the rotation?
No, we're gonna have more.
7:05 on a Thursday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. Download the BU Bruins app to your smartphone to keep up to date on all the championship action happening on Bellevue's campus this spring. It is time for the social media soundbite, where Dan Campanen has demanded that we play this video.
Well, it's what you want.
It is.
So it's what you.
It's what the
get.
people want.
The people have requested this.
Well, you can add one more to that list.
And it's a Big Ten school, and it is not the University of Nebraska.
Not Jetsamala. Jetsamala got an offer from Alabama
Oh,
today.
that's right. I'm sorry. Yes.
Alabama.
Yeah. Famously not a Big Ten school yet.
Kalen DeBoer dropping the offer for Jetsamala today. That is big news for the 4-star quarterback out of Millard South.
Jetsamala picks up that offer, and I can spoil the second news. Raylan Warren picks up an offer from Michigan State. That is a Big Ten school. But, yeah, Jetsamala gets the offer from Alabama. Nebraska has still not offered him. But, listen, the Huskers already have their quarterback in this class, so probably not going to happen. But the talent level in Nebraska keeps getting recognized nationally. Jetsamala obviously gets it done on the basketball court as well, an all-around athlete. And congratulations to the Millard South prospect and the Omaha West Side prospect on picking up those offers. If you missed the social media soundbite tonight, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhour1620. was brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Is your company not showing up the top search engine optimization? Do you have a social media presence? Maybe your website doesn't convert to mobile. Pixel Fire Marketing can help with all of that. Head over to pixelfiremarketing.com. And Dan Desaibi and his crew ignite your social media presence, entice your ideal client, and engage your brand online tonight. Check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more details tonight. We'll have better music by ourselves. Let's have a break. 1620.
Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here for Paul Davis. Did the latest round of storms drop off? Is there a little water down there? You're concerned about some moisture, some mold situations that may be happening? Well, you need to call Paul Davis at 402-553-0373. They can help you with flooding, water damage, whatever it is. They're going to get your home restored to the way it was before the damage happened. If you got problems and it's water related, Paul Davis can fix it right up. Give him a call today at 402-553-0373.
sister bleeding on with all of your compassion. Your labors do the hurt but can assuage contagion.
Top of the second hour here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Over a decade of being number one in Omaha doesn't happen by accident. Head over to Pyramid Roof for your windows, your roof, your gutters, your siding. They do it all. Check out pyramidroof.com. Get a free estimate tonight. Logan Mosley is now in shotgun and has buy or sell for us tonight. What do you got for us, Logan?
We're looking at the.
Well, what you don't have is your microphone on, and that is step number one.
There we go.
There we go.
Hey, there we go. All right,
ladies and gentlemen, radio.
We're working on it. Yeah, we're looking at the PGA Tour now. Let me look here. Johan Vegas currently in first, shooting -7
or 7 under.
7 under through 18 holes. Look at me knowing golf.
There you go.
Yeah. Then we got Gerard from the United States tied for second, 5 under through 18 holes as we get things underway. What are we thinking about that?
Well, the question is buy or sell that Jonathan Vegas is going to win the PGA Championship. And I'm selling, and here's why. You've got 3 guys right now with Cam Davis and Ryan Gerard, and then Luke Donald dropped down to 4 under, not 5 under, that are playing really well and are attacking the links aggressively. Vegas today was really, really passive in his shots, and I think to close this thing out, you're going to have to play this thing aggressively down the stretch.
The move here is to sell, because it's not often that someone goes wire to wire at a major.
Very cool.
It just doesn't
very good
happen.
Point.
So you have to sell. And as for who it might be, like the leaderboard's kind of, I mean, there's a whole bunch of, I don't want to say
lesser than known people.
Yeah, they're just not as, the known guys are a little further down the board today. So
Scotty Scheffler tied for 20th right now, by the way.
I think a guy who you might want to keep an eye on is Matt Fitzpatrick, who's sitting at 3 under.
I was going to go with Ryan Fox.
T9. That's a dude who can make a run.
Dan Campinen, you side-eyed me with my take.
Yeah. Where do you come off saying that Jonathan Vegas is playing passively when he's 7 under right now?
Because he
where do you get passive out of the way that you get to 7 under?
I'm glad you asked, because he put one into the trees today and decided to play it through. Or didn't decide to play through it. He lobbed it up on the fairway and didn't try to knock it down the course. He was playing passively and not taking deep shots and wasn't risking a whole lot today. It was just playing very well.
Okay. Famously, the deepest shotter in all of this tournament right now is sitting at dead even. So maybe playing passively at Quail Hollow is actually a smart decision.
That's today. We're talking about winning a championship, Dan.
We are, but I also sell because
good take.
The field is always the field, and I will 99 times out of 100 take the field over whomever is in first at this point. I do like Scotty to get in there and maybe tear it up a little bit this weekend. Cam Davis, this course actually plays to the exact style that he likes to play in a golf course. And it is extremely similar to his home course in Australia that he plays quite often.
Dan Campinen, a man of Australia.
Twists and turns, baby. Twists and turns.
Logan, what else we got?
Looks like next up on our buy or sell, a book is being written about Caleb Williams and his family actively trying to find a way to get out of the NFL's collective bargaining agreement to avoid Caleb going to the Bears. Buy or sell. This spells bad news for the Bears and their former #1 overall pick.
Listen, Chicago's been deemed the place where quarterbacks go to die. I don't necessarily blame Caleb Williams. What he should have done is hired a firm to do this, not had his family do it. So if it ever did get out, it wasn't directly linked to him. This is a horrible look for him. Going to that locker room this fall and being the leader of this team, it doesn't look great.
We've known about this and his dad for quite some time.
Yeah,
so that's the other side.
Publicly said that he didn't want his kid.
Well, I mean, the other rumor was that he was going to sign with the UFL instead of going to the NFL, which would have been a sort of an AFL NFL thing from the 60s. Like that would have been real weird, right?
Nobody thought that was going to happen.
Nobody thought that was going to happen.
Not one person.
Nobody in the UFL was going to.
The UFL doesn't have the money to get a first round draft.
I mean, honestly, I don't know how bad this actually is, right? Like I know it's a story and I know that,
hey guys, you all sucked and I didn't want to come play with you.
Okay.
You don't think that's bad?
Okay. John Elway refused to be drafted by the Colts.
Did he ever have to go to the Colts locker room?
Eli Manning refused to be drafted by the Chargers.
Did Eli Manning ever have to go to the Chargers locker room and face those guys?
No. but
It's still
I
a bad
think
look.
that like
it's a horrible look.
it's a bad look, but I don't know in effect actually how bad it really is, because I think, look, NFL players better than anyone understand that football is a business, right? And everybody's out there trying to get the best deal that they can for themselves.
This is
to
not
put
the best
themselves
deal.
in the best
This is not
situation.
about money, though. This is you
To-
guys
to
suck.
also-
This franchise is horrible. You've never developed
All
a
right.
quarterback,
Okay.
and I didn't want to come here. Not, hey, I wanted more money.
That's fine. And is it false? Is he wrong?
No, but you listen. It's one thing to think that, and everybody does. But to say it out loud and have your dad lobbying to change the collective bargaining agreement of the entire league to make sure you don't go to this franchise, that's a little bit more than, hey, we need the decimal moved to the right one time.
Look, dude, how many players over time do you think have had the same thoughts about not wanting to play for the team that was going to draft them?
Any quarterback drafted by the Browns
I'm ever. Beat me to it. I was about to say, anybody that's ever been drafted by Cleveland or Jacksonville.
This just happened to get out there. Like, I don't think it's a big secret in the NFL that among the players that there are guys on rosters that don't want to be on that roster.
I mean, Bill Belichick famously shipped anybody that wanted to raise to Cleveland for a reason.
So, I mean, it looks like an explosive story in the media, but I think behind the scenes, the players understand. Like, they get it.
Yeah, we don't want to be here either. Dan?
I will parrot my favorite song of all time. The Bears still suck.
Logan, what else we got?
All right.
Ask the Pope what he thinks about this whole situation.
Captain said you look younger now, Dan. Oh, I think it's because he's referring to Logan. Never mind. Sorry, I missed the
No,
joke.
fair
I
enough.
missed the joke, Cap. My bad.
All right,
I was like, I have not been sleeping this week. I look older.
All right. The NFL is going to vote to allow or ban players from the 2028 Olympics where flag football will be an event. Buy or sell. We need the NFL's version of the Dream Team.
Buy, hammer, and hold. We need this. I want to see Tyreek Hill just blowing by guys by 10 yards. I want to see 264-0 games. I'm here for all of this. USA, USA, USA.
I don't think they should ban players from going to the Olympics if they want to. We tried this with basketball, and then Russia did what Russia does, and they cheated and let their pro
Steroids.
players play and used steroids and
Is there a-
performance-enhancing drugs.
Is
and,
there
like,
a pro-Russian NFL or football league? That I don't know
I think the whole amateurism aspect of the Olympics is dead now. Like,
that's been for a long time.
it has been for a long time. The NFL doesn't need to worry about it. The only thing you can say is that teams want to protect their assets and not get somebody injured doing activities away from the team. But it's also pretty hard to like go and play the national anthem before every game and then tell a guy he can't play for his country in
Fair.
the Olympics.
That's a great point.
The one thing I will say to all of this is obviously I wasn't live for this, but part of the mystique of the Dream Team was these players weren't able to play in the first place. So I will buy that these players will be able to play.
He
But
stole it from me, didn't he?
No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just
okay.
fun fact. The majority of the people who were on the Dream Team actually played in the Olympics in the 1980s because
Yeah.
they were in college.
that's true.
College athletics.
That's
when
true.
college was amateur.
And let's
Is
be
it
honest,
still
a
amateur?
college all-star team would beat everyone at the
Oh,
Olympics.
exactly.
in flag
Exactly.
football.
Yeah.
Exactly. We could walk out that 2021
My-
Nebraska team and
the
probably
one-
win.
The one thing I wonder is, will the NFL or the respected franchises put a fine if you do get injured? Okay, well, if you get hurt, you can go do this.
A clause in the contract.
Yeah, but if
Yeah.
if you
That
get
means
injured
you
while
have to update every single one of those
Mhm.
contracts or try and do it through the CBA, which would take a lot of time to do that.
which means they could say,
What's the roster going to be?
which means they could
20
s-
players?
They could say,
It's not that much.
you
work.
can go. We're not stopping you from going, but we got to go through all this red tape to make sure you can. You
Yeah,
still want to
well,
do it?
It's not that difficult. You just add an amendment to the contract that says, also, if you're injured playing the Olympics, the contract's null and void.
Yeah,
like-
because things always get easier when you get lawyers involved.
yeah.
Sorry, Bob Williams.
Amendments to contracts happen all the time.
I've seen that video of Tyreek Hill when he's in France going against like their best cornerbacks and just literally
Is it close?
stealing all of their ankles and saying, ha ha ha, look at these. I have them in my pocket.
Yeah, but like part of
I
I
would,
didn't know Tyreek Hill was Irish.
he is. But I agree with you, Jimmy.
Yeah, this is gonna be
Buy
great.
so hard. I want to see Patrick Mahomes. I want
And
to
I
see
want-
Tyreek Hill.
and I want the
wanna
best of the
see-
best. I want
I want
like,
to see Justin Jefferson out there with like
D-
10 chains and a diamond grill, just
D-
like one handing.
give me Patrick Mahomes with DK Metcalf, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, and who's the next wide receiver in this list? whoever number 5.
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah,
Devontae Adams,
yes,
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, whoever. Give me a top name.
Put Cooper Kupp in there for diversity.
Put Josh Gordon in there. Let's see what Josh Gordon can do.
He's probably looking for a paycheck these days.
Sure.
I'm sure Nike would
Let's
pay
put
him.
Derrick Henry out there for intimidation.
Yeah.
Not even run the ball with him.
Let him
Also,
be the coach and just have him stand on the sideline.
Yeah.
Jimmy, to
Marshawn
answer
Lynch
your
is the
question,
coach, no doubt. Marshawn
To
Lynch
answer
is
your
the coach.
question, there is a
It's gotta be Snoop Dogg.
Soviet Union / Russian football team founded in 1992, and they made the IFAF or was a qualifier in 2022 and 2023 for the IFAF European Championship.
They suck. Great. They didn't
So,
even qualify.
American football has become a big deal in Germany and Japan as well.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh yeah.
they have professional leagues there. Italy also has a professional American football league, and Finland actually has a collegiate football league.
Great.
do.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
There's
I want to see them
actually-
play the Americans.
There's actually a great John Grisham book called Playing for Pizza. If you
Love
ever
it.
want to read a book about football and Italy at the same time, it's great.
They could change the Olympics to playing for second place if they implement this for flag football. Okay, Logan, you've been asked to come up with 2 topics.
Yeah. So this first one, I like this one because it's my own question. In the Chargers schedule release, they put the Colts quarterback room into Minecraft and had Anthony Richardson start the season,
Okay.
but spin out and quote unquote run out of gas. Literally what they said in there before they play each other week 7. Buy or sell, does Anthony Richardson make it as the starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts by week 7? Their quarterback room consists of Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, Riley Leonard, and Jason Bean.
So I famously said that Anthony Richardson is the biggest reach in NFL draft history, so that probably gives you an indication of my answer. With that being said, I think Riley Leonard might be the starter week 1.
Week 1?
Wow.
I have no faith in Daniel Jones, and you already know my thoughts on
They'll
Anthony
go to
Richardson.
Daniel Jones before they go to Riley
For
Leonard.
sure. I think they go to Jason Bean before they go to Riley Leonard.
Riley Leonard will be the starter week 1.
I don't think so. I think it's they're going to start Richardson because they have a ton of capital invested in him. It's not going to go well 4 games into the season.
He's currently hurt too, so he's
Yeah.
he's going to be limited in training camp.
4 game by I would say week 5. Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback for the Colts.
Can I ask an important question here?
Yeah.
Who the hell is Jason Bean?
Kansas.
Yeah,
he was the quarterback of the
Yeah.
Kansas Jayhawks.
He's the one that was like the starter for Lance Leipold when things got rolling.
Is his uncle Mister?
No.
Okay. Well, then I
well,
wrote him.
I
Nor
would
is it
hope his uncle is a mister.
Well,
Oh,
Hey, got him.
a follow-up to this
America.
question is, do the Colts try and make a move for a quarterback
in season.
in season
No.
or before the start of it if they don't like what they're seeing out of their quarterback room? Cleveland has a massive quarterback room right now. They got to get
Yeah,
rid
they're
of
gonna
at
trade
least
for
2 of
Shedeur
those.
Sanders.
Bring Joe Flacco back.
Oh, I was
Um,
thinking more along the lines of Kenny Pickett.
But here's the thing.
Mr. Small Hands himself.
But hold on. Here we might be bearing the lead here, because if Indianapolis's quarterback room sucks, they probably won't do very well at football this year. We just got done talking about a young quarterback at Texas whose last name is Manning,
Yeah.
and bring another Manning to Indianapolis. Can't write that storyline in Hollywood if you tried.
However, I think he stays all 4 years, but that's just me.
What else we got? You were asked to get
Yeah,
one more.
I got one more in. Buy or sell, the draft lottery has ruined roster construction in the
Buy,
NBA
buy,
to the point
buy.
where they won't be able to come back.
Whatever the rest of your question is, buy. It's horrible. It's a stupid system. It doesn't make any sense. Even if it's not rigged, it doesn't help the NBA's PR. Get rid of it. It's stupid.
So
Find a different
hypothetically,
source.
what do you replace it with?
So there's this little known league in American sports called the National Football League, where it rules all of sports because it's done the best. Just give the worst team the best pick. It'll help your league. It'll help you build stars in smaller markets. Oh, and by the way, even if they go there, they're going to end up playing for the Lakers or the Celtics anyway because of the money. Just
Yeah.
get rid of the stupid ping pong balls.
But
It's dumb. It is an attempt to create a TV show that nobody cares about.
No, they did it because to try and stop teams from intentionally tanking.
For
That's
Hakeem
why they
Olajuwon,
brought it
that's
up.
when they started it.
Where's Philadelphia on a map? Let me tell you about this team called the 76ers
Yeah,
that
I
did it
understand.
anyway.
I know, I get it. But here's why I have come out many times against the entire draft process. I think that the process of drafting players is stupid in the end because of the way that it's done in soccer. In soccer, everyone's a free agent. You go and sign with the team that wants you. And look, in football, if you're a team that's good, you've probably got a quarterback already locked down, don't you?
Yes.
So the best quarterback coming out of college, does he want to sit on the bench for multiple years behind your starting all-star quarterback, or is he going to go and sign with a team where he can play immediately?
Checks.
I think you
checks my notes on Caleb Williams. I think he would go somewhere that he'd want to play.
Right. So I don't necessarily think, like, yes, the draft does have its merits in some ways for competitive balance, but it's also you can manipulate it. And that's what these leagues don't want, is teams manipulating their win-loss record to get a better draft position. The way you do that is you open it up and everybody's a free agent. Because that's an incentive to win. It's because players will want to play for a team that wins.
Do you know
become too much of a spectacle.
The Women's Hockey League, how they do things?
I don't.
So basically, once you get eliminated, you have to play for points. And whoever gets the most amount of points after you get eliminated gets the first overall pick. I believe it's 3 points for a win, 2 points for a tie, 1
based
point
on
for a
pool
loss.
play.
Yeah, exactly. And that way, it still incentivizes those teams to play to try and win.
Here's the thing, though. Think about the length of a NBA schedule. Think about the toll an NFL schedule the toll it takes on a body throughout the NFL. Like, how many times we're talking about guys getting injured? We're talking about having to play more games for draft picks. Nobody's going to do that.
No.
The NFL draft had over 100,000 people at it in attendance. Like, they're never going away from this because it just makes too much money. The NBA, which the question was asked about, has the ability to just get rid of a stupid process that doesn't end up working in the long run anyway, because you've had 4 teams with less than 2% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. Like, if you're going to give somebody less than a 2% chance, just don't give them a chance at all.
The biggest thing with the NBA draft overall, in general, is that every single time a team with a less than 2% chance or a bigger market favorited team gets the number 1 pick, it immediately goes to collusion, conspiracy theories.
It's weird how often it keeps happening.
Rigging, just in general. So if that is what the conversation around your draft lottery as you have it now is, it means that something needs to change.
Well, the fact that that is the conversation and that they haven't changed it probably should raise a few eyebrows, if you ask me. Hey, if you missed Buy or Sell tonight, check out soundcloud.com/afterhours 1620. It was brought to you by Controlled Comfort Heating and Air. Temperatures are rising outside. Don't let them rise inside. Get a maintenance appointment set up with Controlled Comfort tonight. Head over to controlledcomfort.com. Let them come take a look at your AC unit. Change out that furnace filter and make sure that your heater is ready to go for the winter months as well. Head over to controlledcomfort.com. Get peace of mind about your HVAC unit tonight. John and Dan's Hockey Corner returns when we come back.
Yes, it does.
What's a hoodwink? Does it make you stop think? You think you're looking at Aquaman. I summon fish to the dish, although I like the shallow.
Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Bob Williams with Williams Law. You hear Bob in here every week talking about the big legal issues facing your favorite sports or your favorite sport leagues. But what if you have legal issues facing your kids? Has your son or daughter been out when the warmer weather has appeared and hanging out with the wrong people and gotten themselves in a little bit of trouble, and you don't know what to do? You don't know what legal advice you should be asking about? You need to head over to WilliamsLawLLC.com tonight. Bob and his team are going to sit you down. They're going to explain your son or daughter's rights, give you a free, no-obligation legal consultation so you understand the legal system and what you're facing and be ready for your big day in court. Head over to WilliamsLawLLC.com. Get a free, no-obligation legal consultation tonight.
chair over here into the corner with me and Dan because it's time for John and Dan's Hockey Corner. Of course, we're always brought to you by Pyramid Roof Contractors. You're not the number one roofer in the metro area for no reason. Check out pyramidroof.com to book a free estimate today. All right, Dan, we got one team through to the conference final, and that team is the Edmonton Oilers. We buried them after they went down 2-0 to the Kings.
First round, too. We were like, these guys are dead.
I don't think your mic's on, Dan.
Definitely
no.
not. Yeah.
There you go.
Show's better that way.
It's just John's Hockey Corner.
So, yeah, we were – Jimmy was gone. We buried them after they went down 2-0 to the Kings. All they've done since then is win 8 out of 9 games and find themselves
That's what you get for counting
in
on
the
Connor
Western
McJesus.
Conference Finals. And we're in a situation now where we might not get any of the 1 seeds in the conference finals. Like, if the Caps don't win tonight, they're done. The Leafs are down 3-2, and Dallas is leading the Jets 3-1. All the 1 seeds are in trouble right now, and I don't know if any of us saw this coming.
Well, I mean, minus the fact that I have, specifically to the 1 seed point, I have, said, like, this is Toronto's year. This is Toronto's year. Toronto's going to be the one to do it. I've been the one saying that. The other side of the table has been saying, no, it's still Canada. It's still Toronto. They have the probably worst luck
of
all time.
I like Toronto. I just feel like the Panthers are they're a bad matchup for everybody.
I agree.
Yeah, they're just a force to be reckoned with. They know, and the fact that they brought in Brad Marchand, and I mean, terrible player to other people, but great addition if you're the Florida Panthers. He has been like a lightning rod for this team, especially after the 4 nations where, it is America versus Canada, and he had a lot of problems with the Tkachuk brothers and whatnot, but he's one of those guys where he's kind of a smiley face and he's a locker room guy that everyone wants to be around when you're on a hockey team with him. Against him, he's the biggest a-hole you've ever met in your entire life, and he can go kick rocks.
He'll always be a Bruin to me.
But when he's on your team, you got to love him. And the Florida Panthers have made great additions in the offseason to an already just picture-perfect squad.
We get to find out later tonight.
You guys think the people in Toronto are sick of Austin Matthews?
Threw his jersey on.
Yeah, you think there might be a little bit of little thought process there about who they don't like on that roster?
Well, when you haven't won a championship since '66, I mean,
and if you're Austin Matthews in this entire playoffs, you haven't scored a goal yet.
Not great.
That does not bode well for having the C on your chest.
And tonight we get to find out if Jimmy's Jets,
Jets, that spells Jets,
if they can pull off the massive comeback.
Told you it was going to happen.
You're staying with it.
Told you it was going to happen.
Stars can close it out tonight. I don't know, man. Ottinger has been just an absolute animal between the pipes for the Stars in this series.
I honestly think he could probably play tonight's game with his eyes closed.
Dude, he's been so good.
Kyle Connor, big night. Jets win.
I think, look, Stars Oilers in the Western Conference Finals.
That would be a ton of fun.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that. Let's have that happen for 7 games, please.
Oh, yeah. I cannot wait to see Draisaitl and McDavid just ripping shots at Ottinger and seeing how he's going to hold up against that powerful offensive attack in Edmonton.
Dude, where did Rantanen come from? Like, he has just been explosive.
I can answer that question.
Finland. Yeah. He's been really good.
Tervetuloa.
Is this the year, though? Is this the year that Connor McDavid gets anointed as...
Man, the way they're
playing really well.
The way they just handled the Vegas Golden Knights and winning 8 of 9 after going down 2-0. For me right now...
In Vegas, by the way.
The Oilers, like, they might be the favorite at this point.
Yeah, my only worry is just looking ahead and assuming what we want to assume and what we already have assumed. If the Canes and the Panthers make it into the next round, that's probably going to be Panther series, no doubt.
That will be an absolute head knocker of a series too.
Yeah, it's going to be hard hitting and it's going to get really annoying probably in the middle because we're going to have a lot of 1-1, 2-2 kind of games that are decided in the third period. But I see Panthers coming out of that series, and then it's just Oilers-Panthers once again in the finals.
Yeah. And that did not go well last time.
No, it did not. And I kind of want this to be Connor's year because he's getting to the point where he's starting to hit that like top of the hill where it's going to start rolling down for him in a few years.
He's at the peak of the prime.
He can hold on for a little bit longer, but you don't want to have kind of that later in life cup where it's like, well, he did it because he moved or they put a bunch of people around him who are a lot younger and a lot more talented at that point.
The other thing is, like, for the Oilers as a franchise, they just paid Draisaitl a bunch of money for his second contract to keep him around. And they had to, they've still got like Darnell Nurse. Like, what happens with him? He's not getting any younger.
Andrew on Twitter makes a great point, though. It wasn't even Edmonton's first line that was that did good against the Knights. It was their third line that dominated that series.
That's
a great point.
Especially in Game 5, that third line was money.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we know everybody wants to keep talking about hockey, but we're going to move on to a league that nobody cares about. We're going to talk about the NFL on the other side of the break. If you missed John and Dan's Hockey Corner, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours. 1620 was brought to you by Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear, the premier suit buying experience in the Midwest. They have all the options you need for your big day. If you want to be the best dressed groom in Omaha this wedding season, head over to Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. They've been dressing Omaha for over 50 years. We're talking the NFL schedule and the highlights and the lowlights from it on the other side of the break. 1620 Zone.
Who are these people? I just woke up in my underwear. No liquor left.
Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Pepper Jack's Grill. Listen, we've been telling you for a long time that Dan Campenett's personal favorite is a steak gunner Philly with the extra meat on it. You can get an extra side now. Listen, they've got onion rings. They've got jalapeno poppers. They've added cheese curds to the menu. You don't have to have a lonely Philly anymore. Fries aren't the only option on the menu. Grab some of those cheese curd. It's a Midwestern delight. Also, the jalapeno poppers with the spicy ranch is a deadly combination. Head over to Pepper Jack's Grill. 10 great locations in the Omaha area. It is closing time on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Over a decade of being number one in Omaha doesn't happen by accident. Head over to pyramidroof.com. Book a free estimate for your windows, your roof, your gutters, your siding. They do it all. Check out pyramidroof.com tonight. Logan, this might be on us. So this is what closing time is. We do our Papillion Sanitation trash takes. What we'll all do here is all of us are going to give a hot take on something going on in the sporting world. We'll put up a poll on Twitter, and we will ask our fans to vote on who had the best take. Whoever receives the fewest amount of takes gets a pie in the face in the next show. So bring your best take tonight. I'll go ahead and start us off. It just broke that Jim Ross, the famous voice of professional wrestling, the voice of wrestling to most people, has colon cancer. And our thoughts with the Ross family. I've had the opportunity to meet JR a few times and has been nothing but a great human being, and all the interactions that I've ever seen or had with him. He does that show with Conrad Thompson, Grilling JR, but he also is a commentator for AEW. I think Jim Ross deserves the Lee Corso treatment. He should, even in his health, he should get the call to go walk away from it whenever he wants to. And I hope he gets to continue to call wrestling while battling this awful disease.
Yeah, the man's been an institution in the sport for as long as I can remember. It's just sad news to hear that that's. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation, and it's hard to know what to say in spots like that. You know.
Yeah, for sure. John.
Well, the stage is set for the richest game in football. Sunderland and Sheffield United will play for the right to be promoted into the Premier League next season. This game is worth approximately £200 million to the winning club.
It's very heavy.
Based on TV deals and residuals and profit sharing and all those things. The winner of this game becomes the third team promoted into the Premier League. Sunderland or Sheffield United. It takes place on May 24th, I believe. It's 24th or 25th at Wembley Stadium in London. And I'm pulling for the Black Cats of Sunderland.
So your trash take is relegation is good.
Relegation. Oh, you know that. That's not a trash take. That's just a fact. But here's why I think you should pull for Sunderland. This is my trash take. Everybody should be pulling for Sunderland in this match. If you've watched the documentary on Sunderland called Sunderland Till I Die, it's on Netflix.
I have.
Highly recommend it. Even if you don't like soccer, it's just a fabulous piece of filmmaking. It's about a community of hardworking people who, when the shipping industry left their town, turned to the only thing that they had left, and that was their team, Sunderland AFC. It's fabulous. It's fascinating, and I want nothing but the best for those fans. They remind me so much of Nebraska fans with their passion, and I'm just hoping against hope that Sunderland can pull it off.
This is to get promoted to the Premier League, you said, correct? Okay.
So I think everybody should be pulling for Sunderland in football's richest game.
Dan Campion.
We didn't get into the NFL scheduling stuff.
We did not.
But according to the NFL, Mike Tomlin is the factor in the Steelers' schedule, not Aaron Rodgers.
LOL.
Minus the fact that the Steelers-Jets is week 1 and Steelers-Packers is going to be Sunday Night Football in week 8. Roger, boys in the old scheduling office, do you know something that we don't?
Well, first and foremost, that week 1 game, Jets Steelers, is the Justin Fields revenge game, not the Aaron Rodgers revenge game. I just want that to be out on the record there.
Oh no. Do we have 2 of these now? Are you a Justin Fields guy?
Are you a Justin Fields guy?
Yes. Honestly, yes.
Okay.
Logan just keeps going up. All the notches in my book. I've never had someone fill up so many notches so fast. I am a Justin Fields apologist. I think he is quite possibly one of the greatest quarterbacks that we're going to see out of that quarterback class that we've had recently. Love me some Justin Fields.
Wasn't that recent, but okay.
I will
Logan,
say
what's your trash take of the night? We got to wrap it up here. We're up against
my trash take.
We have a lot of time, Jimmy.
Logan, what's your trash take? We're up against it.
The time's running out on Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I mean, your trash take.
Yeah.
All right, let me stop thinking there for a sec. My trash take, we'll go with the Tennessee Titans. They don't have a single primetime game this year as it's slated without the flexing, and I feel like that is the best thing possible.
I agree.
Best thing possible for the Tennessee Titans. However, surprises me a bit that they don't have at least one trash Monday Night Football game or Thursday Night Football game.
Well, there's an interesting game, though, for the Titans, and it's an interesting way they slated it. And surprisingly enough, it's against the Browns. It's a Sunday, and it's in the midday slate on 12/7. The NFL clearly hopes Shedeur Sanders grabs that brass ring and is the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
You would get the chance to get Cam Ward against Shedeur Sanders in the did we draft the right guy game.
They're going to hate when Dylan Gabriel
is the starter.
By then. They're going to hate it.
Did you guys see the video? We should have done this for the social media soundbite this. Well, I guess we would have had another one this week. The Cleveland Browns reporter that walked up to grab his phone and turn around on camera and mouthed to everybody, "I'm taller than him," about Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
Not a good look, man. Not a good look.
He's not a big dude.
Listen, he didn't say it out loud, but it was clear as day what he was mouthing. And this gentleman also was probably north of 3 bills. Probably not.
I was gonna say he's a big dude.
Yeah, but he's probably not playing quarterback in the NFL anytime soon.
Maybe he's a hefty lefty kind of guy.
I get
Jared
he would have to be. But there's the NFL was like, you don't think we could top what we did last year? Hold my beer. Week 1, Ravens, Bills in Buffalo. Give me more of that.
Hey,
put that right in my veins.
I just want to say
my Washington Commanders are in primetime a bunch. This year.
The second most out of anybody other than Kansas City.
I'm surprised. I'm quite surprised that the Rams and Seahawks are not playing each other week 1 because they always seem to play each other week 1. And Cooper Kupp on that other side, there's a chance that the Rams might pick up Jalen Ramsey too, which I'm hoping for as a Rams
but both
fan.
those teams suck, so they don't want to put that in.
Well, one of those teams, both those teams beat you last year.
That's
so,
true. Well,
yeah.
we're rebuilding the whole defense, and we paid a quarterback money that we
hear.
shouldn't have.
Good to hear.
Washington, the second most in prime time behind Kansas City. Those two teams play each other in Week 8 as well.
That I honestly not looking forward to it.
Yeah. Hey, if you missed any of the show tonight, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by our friends at AX Plumbing. Home or residential, they can do it all. Check out axpservice.com for all your plumbing, water heater, gas piping, or backflow prevention issues. AX Plumbing is locally owned and operated, and they will leave your home or business cleaner than they found it. Check out axpservice.com for more details tonight. For Dan Campen and Logan Mosley, John Schreiner, I've been Jimmy Allen. Happy National Chocolate Chip Day, everybody.
Put it in a cookie.
Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Paul Davis Restoration. Seasonal storms are right around the corner. There's some clouds rolling into the Omaha area tonight with the high temperatures. There's always going to be storms that follow them. You don't want to be stuck out in the storm. You need to get hold of Paul Davis Restoration. If your home has been damaged by smoke, by fire, by water, by mold, whatever it is, Paul Davis can restore your home to the way it was before the affected storm happened. 402-553-0373. Work with Paul Davis tonight.